Yeah, we're going to talk some football now on the SportsMax Zone. The English Premier League has garnered a reputation over time as being the best league in the world. And a huge reason for this is the amount of money which their clubs spend on a yearly basis. And this summer, the transfer window has started no differently, with many clubs splashing the cash to improve their fortunes, or hoping to improve their fortunes. A club that are no strangers to spending huge sums is Manchester United, and they have started this window by signing Mason Mount from his boyhood club Chelsea.
Given the speculation over the last 6 months, this may not come as a surprise to you, but it doesn't make it any easier to tell you that I've made the decision to leave Chelsea. I feel you deserve more than just a written statement, so I wanted to tell you directly how grateful I've been for all of your support over the last 18 years. I know some of you won't be happy with my decision, but it's what's right for me at this moment in my career. I joined Chelsea when I was 6 years old, and we've been through a lot together. Winning the Youth Cup, my Player of the Year awards, the Super Cup, the Club World Cup, and of course the unforgettable night when we won the Champions League. I want to say thank you to the Academy, Jim and Neil, for being so influential to me from such a young age. The managers I've worked under, Frank, Thomas and Graham. The backroom staff, the unsung heroes of Cobham. All of my teammates over the years that have become my brothers, my family, for the continuous love and support, and most importantly, you guys, for sticking with me throughout. Wish you all the best.
Mason Mount there, the first of the players that we'll be talking about this afternoon, re the transfer window. And joining us in this segment to discuss some of these moves, our football analyst, Legi Williams. Legi, we always depend on you for your expert analysis of all things football. And I have spoken to a few Man United fans who aren't completely sold on this Mason Mount acquisition. You're not a Manchester United fan, but where do you stand on this?
Well, first of all, I do think that Mount is a good player. It's a player that I've been tracking for quite some time. From his days in Holland, he went to Derby as well, and I liked him as a player. I'm not as high as him as I once was, high on him as I once was. He hasn't shown me enough that he used to show me, but I still think he has a lot of qualities that he can bring to many teams. So I think it can be a really good signing, but I think a lot of people, the reason why they're saying that it's not going to be a good signing is because they're trying to get into a hypothetical world what they think that Ten Hag wants from his team by comparing it to his former Ajax team. And I think that's a wrong way to go, because everything that we have seen from the composition of his midfield so far is not one of control, it's more one of high energy and being extremely direct. People expected a more controlling midfielder to come in, someone of the Frankie de Jong mold, and he's brought in Mason Mount, and everyone is saying, okay, then what are we going to do in the first and second phase of build-up? Mason Mount isn't a specialist in those areas. But I think it's clear to see that Ten Hag doesn't want a player like that. He wants someone who can invade the box, who has a lot of qualities all across the field. He actually has, I didn't want to bring up his season last season. I was more looking for his season before that, where he was really excellent across all, and I have some key statistics actually to bring up from that season. He scored 11 goals, got 10 assists. In some of the nitty-gritty stats, he had 6.25 progressive passes per 90. That's the 93rd percentile in the Premier League. 10.5 progressive passes, 88th percentile. 2.2 key passes, albeit a lot of those key passes coming from mainly set pieces. I think he's a creative player. He's an infiltrator, and he will get you goals and assists. And I think Manchester United, they need an extra attacker, especially if they're going to go out and get that marquee striker, which they so crave. Someone like Mason Mount providing from deep is going to add a lot to their midfield this season.
Mount creates a lot of chances, so too Bruno Fernandes. But I'm wondering, and you're saying that more likely he's going to be in the attacking third or close to the box, or even inside the box, where he tends to have quite a few touches as well. But isn't there going to be a lack of defensive responsibility, or does he provide that as well, should he be in the Man United starting lineup?
I think if you're looking at defensive capabilities, you have to start from the front, and Mason Mount is one of the more aggressive pressers from the attacking third that we have in the Premier League, especially in terms of English players. He's extremely intense in what he tries to do up front, and he does press well. He's very intelligent in how he decides to press. So I think he'll add a lot defensively. I think what people should or may be concerned about is the lack of control that Manchester United may have in comparison to their rivals. When you think about the coaches in and around the league, Arteta, Pep, the top two of last season, both of those coaches prioritize control, and that's how they like to go about things. I think Ten Hag is looking more towards the Liverpool of old mold in terms of that heavy metal football, trying to go against these coaches by trying to just completely be more physical than them, trying to be quicker than them, and maybe that's what we're going to see from Manchester United this season.
Left side of a midfield or left side of the front three, Mount?
I actually think that he'll play in the right and half space, because Manchester United, their midfielders and attackers tend to drift towards that left and half space generally. So Bruno loves to drift to the left, Rashford plays on the left. If you think about Eriksen, he's a left and half space player.
But he won't be in the same starting lineup with Mount, you think?
Eriksen?
Yes.
No, I highly doubt it. I think Mount will be an upgrade in terms of what Eriksen would bring. Yeah. I think that's what he wanted from Sabitzer as well, but he couldn't provide the quality. So I think
or
Mount,
Fred.
Yeah, and I think interestingly as well, I think Mount could get a lot out of Anthony, because Anthony is a player who, yes, he isn't the most explosive in terms of taking it down the line or cutting inside. He does like to cut inside and shoot. But I think having Mount as an option to make those runs in the inside channel and also go on the outside will get the best out of Anthony, creating more space for him to be more creative, which we saw at Ajax. So he wasn't getting that width from a fullback, so maybe he'll get it from Mount. So that could be an interesting way to look at Manchester United as well.
Yeah. Okay, well, Manchester United's fierce rivals, Liverpool, also bolstered their attacking midfield by adding the Hungarian star Dominic Szoboszlai. Legi, he has been gifted the iconic number 8. That's Stevie G's number, isn't it? Yep. What does he provide for the Reds?
Ball striking. I don't like to simplify players in that way, but I've been on record to say before that ball striking is the most important attribute that a footballer can have in the modern game, and that's from any position. We would think about even the keepers that are being linked. You have keepers going for tens of millions just because of how well they can play the ball out. And Szoboszlai, it's not hyperbole to say, in my opinion, I think maybe apart from Kevin De Bruyne, he's the best ball striker, especially from midfield in world football. He's absolutely phenomenal in not only, when I say ball striking, I don't only mean finishing. In terms of his selection of pass as well, the different ways that he can strike the ball in terms of passing, shooting, and his set piece taking as well is quite phenomenal. So Dominic Szoboszlai, we've seen the quality that he can bring from Red Bull Salzburg. He brought Hungary to the Euros. RB Leipzig last season, he was extremely impressive. So Szoboszlai has so much talent, and I think another player that I think will operate maybe in those half-space areas. He played on the right-hand side for RB Leipzig for most of last season, but he has so much quality. He can do so much things, but something that I'd like to focus on, 2 specific things. I have some key statistics for him as well. I think Szoboszlai, when it comes down to, yes, he got the goals, yes, he got the assists, progressive passes, yes, that's important, but 2 things, he's in the 99th percentile for in the Bundesliga, and that's shot-creating actions. A shot-creating action is any action that you take, whether it be a pass or a dribble, which leads to a shot. He is at the top of that in the Bundesliga, and also his touches per 90. Liverpool have a mix as having a German coach, as I've spoken about with Sir Lance before. They want to play this quick football. Szoboszlai can do that, but he can also offer control, as you can see by the amount of touches that he likes to have as an attacking player. So I think he adds a lot of variety to what Liverpool want to do, and an extreme amount of quality as well.
Yeah. Part of the criticism with Liverpool last year was that a lot of experts felt that their squad needed refreshing. The squad, coming from the previous years when they were really potent, this squad needs refreshing. This alone won't solve their problem with it.
No, definitely not, because they have a gaping, a hole this big at defensive midfield. Fabinho has fallen off a huge cliff. I said this before.
Yes.
His numbers, I don't exactly have them here with me right now, but it's clear to see with the eyes as well. Fabinho, I don't want to slate him too much, but I don't think he's a good defensive midfielder, especially when you're going to be playing McAllister, Szoboszlai, Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones. Yes, all of these players can pull defensive weight, but it's more so when pressing. Fabinho just can't cover the ground anymore. When he does cover the ground, it usually leads to him making a really bad tackle. So they need to sort out that defensive midfield area. I see them linked to Kefri and Thuram, Maru Kone. That's not going to solve it either. I think they need an expert defensive midfielder. João Paulina, I see West Ham want him. I think they should be all over that. And they need a left-sided centre-back. Andy Robertson was filling in there in terms of their attacking shape last season when Trent inverts. They're going to need someone a bit more robust to really fill in. I think most of Liverpool's problems were defensive last year, and they haven't done anything to fix that this season.
Sandro Tonali, he's going to Newcastle, which everyone was pretty much surprised by that because almost every other club wanted him as part of their squad. The fact that he's going now to Newcastle, was that a bit of a surprise for you? And what does he offer to Newcastle this season?
It was a big surprise for me personally. I think that Newcastle are a great club, a historic club, but when a player that is lauded as such a prodigious talent goes from AC Milan, yes, people probably could have expected him to leave, but maybe to leave and take the usual route and go to Juventus. He went to Newcastle, and we can see what he can bring to a team here. I didn't only focus on the positives, however. Yes, he got the goals, he got 7 assists as well, key passes. That was really just to highlight what he can do from a set-piece perspective. Coincidentally, all 3 of the players that we've spoken about so far are really good set-piece takers. But I think he's misprofiled. As you can see there by his pass accuracy, it's in the bottom 21% in the Serie A. And you think about his tackles. People think about him because he played for Brescia, came up through Brescia, went to AC Milan, and if you even look at him there, what he even looks like, people automatically think Andrea Pirlo. He is the furthest thing from that in terms of his profile of player. He's not as calm on the ball. He's much more aggressive in his pass selection as well. He's a very good set-piece taker like Pirlo. But when you think about what he likes to bring to any midfield, it's energy. He's not a tempo setter in terms of what he does on the ball. And he's more similar to maybe a Gennaro Gattuso in that mold in terms of what he would bring to Newcastle. And Newcastle are an energetic team. They're a team that like to go for it. They like to press. And I still think that maybe people would have thought that he would have been the controller in that midfield beside Bruno Guimaraes, maybe allowed Bruno Guimaraes to push forward. I think he will actually still be Bruno Guimaraes sitting deep and Tonali adding to that really front press. And I think he can add a lot of quality in that instance. Hopefully Eddie Howe sees that and doesn't try to play him as a controller.
So Tonali to Newcastle, Szoboszlai to Liverpool, Mount to United, all 3 around £60 million. Which one was the best deal in terms of the money that was put out?
I'm usually of the perception that the best player it's the same fee, so the best player has to be the best transfer, and I'll lead to Dominic Szoboszlai in terms of what he can add to Liverpool. That's another brilliant ball striker down that right-hand side to add to Trent, to add to Mo Salah, and just the options that he gives them. He can play, most teams play with a front 5 now in terms of the 2 half spaces, the wingers and the striker. I think he can play in 4 of those positions relatively comfortably. He adds so much to them just from that alone. So I would say Dominic Szoboszlai.
So Mount with his Premier League experience doesn't have that?
Premier League experience is overrated. If you're a good player, you're just going to translate and come in. That's an overrated notion, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay, we've got to wrap the segment pretty soon. The first thoughts quickly before we go from the segment of new Chelsea manager Mauricio Pochettino had a large proportion of the Manchester City fan base up in arms.
Yes, I think it's important. I think it's a culture of win. I think in the last 10, 12, 15 years, I think Chelsea is the greatest team in England, and that we know very well. I think I know very well the Premier League. I know very well what means Chelsea, the culture of Chelsea. I think our fans, they are so excited also to be in the road of trying to win, and of course for us to feel really exciting about to work with a very young team. In a different approach, of course, than in the past, but I think we need to all understand that we need to work really hard, but in the same time, create a very good atmosphere on the training ground to build the successful for the team in the next few years.
Yeah, Pochettino doing a PR job there for Chelsea, and the Man City fans obviously astonished by the comments from Pochettino that Chelsea has been the greatest Premier League team in England for the past 12 to 15 years, he says.
Yeah, that's a bit insane. People tend to go overboard when they just get employed somewhere.
Never saw that from you, though.
No, I was completely enthused. I don't know what you're talking about that.
Touché. Proceed.
Yeah, but it's clear to see maybe they do have 2 Champions Leagues in that time.
Yes.
But Man City has 7 leagues to probably their 2.
Yeah.
So many more FA Cups, so many more League Cups.
Yeah.
If that's what they're judging it off of, I think Man City have had more impact on the English game as well in that time.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, as I said, people just like to say crazy stuff when they just get employed. He's happy. I think that's all that matters for him, really. So he can say what he wants to say.
All right, we look forward to see what Pochettino does at Chelsea. Thanks, Liz. Great having you on The Zone, analysing football all the time. Back with more after this.